Con, Ghost, remember, no cleanse.
And there's good damage coming out as well for Karmine. This could just be a kill. Corp likes the way he's healed up, but he's dead. Karmine with first blood, and the cooking from Vitality is searing up a beauty. Now for Vitality, everybody's taking it.
Oh no!
He's taking the Durham. He goes gold, and Jamada lost his mind.
My bad, guys, my bad.
Welcome back to the LEC. I'm Jeannie, joined with the Photon for an interview. Congratulations on your win this time around. Talk us through what that game was, because I have no idea what I just watched.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
It was an interesting game for sure.
yeah, it was like I think we made some mistake on fourth leg. I think against Moldo kind of have to play perfectly. So and then we failed that. So it was kind of third game.
But you still did it. You still managed to close it out. So congrats on that. You're also the Kia player of the game. So congratulations. Yeah, you are. So you should be proud of yourself as well. But when we're looking at Smolder, you guys were very comfortable leaving that pick open. Why was that the case?
I think Smolder is not Smolder is good champion, but it's not unplayable against this gem.
Yeah.
If you play kind of perfectly, like Bodrake and posting Nature, and then can play against.
Yeah, you guys played against it indeed. So thank you very much for the interview. We're going to be heading back over to the decks to you, Lore. So please break down the match of the week, MDK up against Karmine Corp.
Thank you so much, Ginny. And interview 감사합니다. Photon, amazing to hear from him, of course, in English for once. But we have a match of the week on our hands. France versus Espanita. KC versus Mad Lions Corp. Guys, last time we had these two teams facing off against each other, it was not pretty. And I'm just wondering what it's going to be about today, because if I think of one word to define these two teams, it's the lack of discipline, sadly.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to, understanding when you have timings to play aggressive and making moves when you should, and not because you're getting bored really and just want something to happen. And I'm really curious to see how these teams have, worked on their previous games and if they can come in with more controlled, smart gameplay today.
Any mistakes that we want to point out specifically for stuff that we don't want to see today, especially in this matchup?
Yeah, I think they had a lot of pressure on themselves yesterday. Their composition that they drafted was on quite a timer. Their damage profile, incredibly AD-based versus a lot of armor, so they had to play it out extremely well, playing to bot side with bow and upset. So a lot of pressure. I hope they didn't put themselves in that kind of situation again.
So I think this is a great example of KC just being too over-eager to making something happen here. We see Cabochard pushing out bot. He's soon going to have a timing where they can push out bot. They can even send somebody top to get another push. Essentially pushing both side lanes and then slowly rotate mid to take the mid turret for free when people are responding. But instead of doing that and really just waiting 30 seconds to have full control and get the mid tower with no risks, they walk mid immediately, force Cabochard to TP in before he's even done pushing the wave to begin with, and all of a sudden, what could have been an amazing moment for them to grow their gold lead, everything falls apart.
And I have a similar feeling with MDK, Arrogant, because we've talked about them in Reddit Check, this lack of discipline that you can see with Alvaro and Elioya's relationship maybe not being as on point as it was in winter, forcing fights too much and not at the right moment.
Absolutely. I think there's a plethora of mid-game options that you could look at in terms of places where they throw versus GX versus Vitality. It's usually silly things like overreaches, trying to chase in topside, trying to rotate around but getting picked. I remember Mervin and Karma at one point in this GX game just getting picked inside, and then eventually they throw away their lead, and that's the thing. They always have a lead. Elioya's always doing incredible, right? Finding ganks mid, bot, and top lane, but it just goes away.
What is the expectation coming here today? Because we know what we want both teams to do. We know that also both these teams are struggling right now in second week of the regular season. So things have to come together now, Proxa.
Well, I'm curious to see how they come into the day, because on the two replays we just saw, both teams made it clear that they forget side lanes exist. Like, they basically just run mid and A-ram it, forcing some random fight and hoping for the best. And if we're going to see the same from both of them today, We're going to have a banger game with a lot of fights, that's for sure.
We're going to have a lot of kills, we're going to have a lot of action for sure, but maybe not the results both these teams would expect as we are ready to get into the draft here. Bans of the first rotation on each side are drawn. No surprises here, I feel.
Power pick's still available. I think Ahri is incredible at the moment.
Yeah.
Lots of Ahri attention at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it taken away. Zeri, really high priority AD carry as well to take away. That can be paired off with front to back, dive, whatever you want, you name it.
Yeah, and I think for KC here, they can really determine what do you want to pick with the Siri. Are you going to take a prior pick like the Ahri for mid lane, or do you want to respond to the rel right away? Ahri makes a lot of sense. Siri generally very scaling oriented, and with Ahri and perhaps a strong early game jungler, you buy time for Siri to scale.
Yeah, and I think you do have a bunch of options into the Ahri. Globally, we've seen Annie rise in priority. You can play Nico, but that usually forces the rel to go bot side. It's really what you have into the Ahri prep for Frescowi right now. I think Nico would be a classic. That is a very him pick. You could also do Talia flex. I think that sets rel and Talia up pretty well.
I'm curious to see here if Mad Lions decide to log in the AD carry, because as we can see, 4 ADs are already gone, Siri being picked, meaning if they don't lock in the AD choice right now, Super is going to have to go very far down the pool. Actually surprised they decided to go with the Sivir, because I'm pretty sure they could have gotten that on the 4-5 if they wanted to, but I guess more than anything, they didn't have any priors that they wanted to log in other roles. They want to keep the rel flexed as well, so just taking the Sivir just to have something to log in, really.
I was actually anticipating the Kai'Sa or something along these lines to match the dive of the rel Nico, but they take away the Sivir, and that leans itself more to front to back. But on both sides, we have a lot of dive in, right? You have the kill first combo with the Ahri Viego, as well as the dive from the rel Nico.
And it's always kind of something that you can expect on the side of both teams. They love these dive-heavy compositions usually. What do you want to see on the last bans? We have Renata, Twisted Fate. What do you don't want to play against here?
Well, I think for KC, taking something like a Nautilus perhaps that can start fights and make it easy for the likes of Viego and Ahri to jump in and kill a target, create a lot of space for Siri, could make a lot of sense. So I wouldn't be surprised to seeing them pick it on 4 if it's still open at that point. For MDK, I like the rel a lot. It gives them a lot of flexibility because it makes a lot of sense for both jungle and support. And they just need to determine, do you want to go for a really stable team comp with rel being the jungler and another support who can peel for Sivir? Or do you want to mash the Viego with some aggression? Worth noting that Lee is one of the junglers that are the strongest into Viego and that can beat them early game, so it's a really smart ban from KC.
So KC sniff out that with that Jax pre-ban earlier, they were fishing for the TF blind. Now other blinds that Mervin have gone for in the past include the Jace. I think nowadays this has more answers and stuff like the Wukong we saw yesterday, but that is something he's gone for before. You could also go Renekton, that works really well with the dive that you have, or Aatrox.
I think if you want a safer comp here as MDK, you legit just slam a freaking Ornn. Like just lock in Ornn, lock in an AD jungler that can match Viego and help you power through the early game, and then you have a monster team fighting comp later where nobody can ever reach the Sivir. Aatrox is also a strong blind, slightly different approach, but I also think if they go for the Aatrox, who's a very strong bruiser, putting rel in jungle, and just building a more supportive comp around it could also be an approach.
You're the jungler here, right? So I was wondering, what do you think about a Poppy angle here? There's a lot of, well, there you go.
There you go.
I think that's a lot of dashes,
yeah.
Right? So I'm looking at the Ahri, the Rakan, the Zeri, the Viego even, and you just stop so much there. My only question to you would be, how is the Poppy Nico doing?
I think it's pretty solid. Like at all times of the game, you have a lot of pressure. It's pretty easy for you to deny the likes of Ahri and Viego with the Poppy pick. You have a lot of burst damage. I think it does make a lot of sense generally and really helps them bind the entire comp together.
R5 Renekton into the Aatrox. Typically, Renekton gets priority into this, and it synergizes really well with the single target pick potential that they have with the Viego, Ahri, Rakan, and the Renekton. So, cohesive composition for Karmine Corp coming out versus more of a front-to-back / dive from Mad Lions.
What I like from KC here is that we saw a somewhat similar comp yesterday that was very burst reliant, but where they didn't actually have enough DPS to kill anybody. Now they have Siri, meaning that they actually will have a lot of DPS coming out of upset, and even if the game doesn't go perfectly, or even if they have a hard time killing whoever's in front, they can still play slow, and upset is eventually going to kill whoever's in front of them.
I'm not questioning the goal of both compositions here. I'm questioning the ability of both teams to execute on these compositions.
they need to play side lane. They need to play good macro. They need to push out, then move to middle objectives instead of just running mid randomly and forcing fights for no reason.
Want to give us a prediction, Aragon?
Ooh, I think that's difficult. I think Mad Lions Koi. I like Casey's in theory. It's a lot easier to play, so I would vote for them. But in terms of gameplay, I've liked Mad Lions Koi more recently.
Let's see how this one plays out on the Rift as we send it back to the caster for the Uber Eats match of the week.
Thank you, Lore. And as a side note, I will never get used to seeing Steak in EU just casually fisting. Legend of a different time across multiple regions. Let's see if those legendary skills transfer to drafting. You heard from Aragon. You know, maybe a bit of an easier time in the early to mid game, certainly in terms of execution for the side of KC, but the later we get, the more I like what MDK have put together here, and it's time now for the Uber Eats match of the week.
Now, Dragos, both our teams find themselves at 1 and 3. Not only is there a lot of pride on the line here, but a lot on the line when it comes to actually...
Not only is the pride on the line,
but there's just a lot on the line.
There's a win on the line.
Yeah.
And they
so
need
much
those wins.
that they do.
I think for KC, obviously trying to recover from was, hey, Dragos Vetti, trying to recover from a disastrous winter split. For MDK, trying to recover from a disastrous first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Looking all kinds of out of sorts. The Des did an excellent job of highlighting. This is a team that, you know, looked like the second best team in our league, was the second best team in our league in winter, and has just been skipping a lot of steps, getting a bit sloppy, even after some incredibly dominant early games.
Yeah, I mean, the word for me when it comes to this team is, well, both teams, is discipline. It feels as though when they get ahead, sometimes they don't always think through everything that they need to do, and they can jump the gun a bit, and they can overforce. Sometimes they get too desperate, too greedy, and it ends up opening windows. Now, when I look at these compositions, I do like the scaling team fight that Mad Lions Koi have drafted for themselves. Like, look at that AoE. Civi and Nico with an Aatrox on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
A Rel engage in there as well. The front to back just looks so simple to play, but you can see how much individual agency is on the side of KC. A lot of playmaking already. Mad Lions Koi bot lane off to a good start, but Ari, Viego, Rakan, a lot of backline potential threat, a lot of mobility. But then this Poppy is going to play interrupt when it comes to these dashes. Now already we're seeing an invade from Elyoya. Start from Bo on his blue buff. Elyoya, creative pathing here, not the bot side clear with Prio bot into invade. He says, I'm killing my Raptors and I'm going into his jungle. He's now going to force Bo out as well.
Level 2 Poppy Burst is no joke, right? On top of that, she has the shield. It is really hard to out-trade her right now for Bo.
Seiken can't do anything. Like, there's not much that his jungler can do to assist. Bo is feeling confident. I mean, why should I be surprised? It's Bo.
Maybe he just wants to get in for a cheeky smite. Frescowi fighting for mid-prio, maybe to support here.
Look at what Elyoya does with the Wolves as well. Puts them behind the wall, makes it difficult for that cheeky smite you were just talking about to even be an option. Now, the good news for Bo is he can still have the option of invading Elyoya's top side. The problem is Upset and Targamas are left isolated.
I was going to say, because he's not the one who suffers in this context. Yes, he's a tiny bit behind on jungle pathing, but he knows it's going to take Elyoya a bit of time to clear the rest of the bottom side jungle. It's his bot lane who suffers under constant threat of a dive.
Look at what he is up to. Still only level 2, trying to see if he can get some experience back so he can still offer support for his bot side, but honestly a lot of time wasted. Level 3 now ticked over for Elyoya, and they've created an effective split map for Mad Lions Koi. Targamas and Upset left isolated from their team. Elyoya sitting on a ward so they know what is happening, and Upset doing as good as he can to clear out this wave to make this dive as hard as possible.
Crucial bit of vision there. Mad Lions Koi. They linger too long here. I mean, the opportunity to play is fizzled. Certainly, Elyoya could have gotten further ahead in terms of early jungle clear if he had just immediately gone to the next camp, but wanted to at least threaten the potential of a dive. That ward does now fade away, but Elyoya already on the way out, picking up the Scuttle Crab. On the next crash, perhaps they can go for it, as Bo really just needs to spend all of his time on the top side to keep clearing camps.
You can see a slight deficit for Upset in the AD carry matchup, but frankly, 4 CS, not the end of the world. Bo is going to be able to get all he lost on the top side. Algoya basically stuck around waiting for the Scuttle Crab to spawn. This, of course, is going to heavily delay the respawn in some of his camps. His second spawn of the Raptors has now come back up, which is good news for him, but it basically allows him full control over the bot side of the map and early contest over first straight spawn. We'll see if Bo decides to use that advantage to try and convert it into an early grubs, maybe even just going for the level 5 spawn. You can see he's securing the crab for himself now. He still has his top camps to clear. But overall, Bo should be a little bit ahead of the clock of Algoya. You can see him now ticking over to level 4, as once again, Alvaro looks for another play.
Alvaro fishing. Upset now going to punish at least a little bit. Raw much more favored in the early trades in terms of tankiness. Excellent charm from Seiken, but Frescowy dominating in the trades thus far in the lane. Just should not be able to force Seiken back.
Shout out to him, because he has had a great laning phase this split. Last split, I was skeptical about his laning and level in the LEC. In playoffs is really where we saw him shine. But so far this split, yesterday on the Orianna, he was absolutely dominating his opponent. Today again, he's getting the better of Seiken already in the 1v1. So huge credit to him and his growth in such a short time here in the LEC.
And now we need to see what he does with this TP. He can just return to lane, invest that in himself, and he will do so, knowing he can just further press his advantage. Could have chosen to save it with this wave where it's at. Probably would have been okay. Now just pretending to be his AD carry. I think a ruse that won't work because his AD carry is visible bot lane. But obviously picks up an early Hextech Alternator, and already Seiken forced to pick up the old Magic Mantle, putting him on the back foot in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, as an Ahri, that's a really not fun item to have.
Well, yeah, sadly this is a game where you look across and you're like, I would love to build items, but if I don't build Merc Treads very quickly, I will die over and over.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't love building Merc Treads on the Ahri, that's for sure. But the fact that you have that Hextech Alternator already gives you so much power if you're Frescowy. So good stuff from him. Overall, though, we look at the state of the game, still dead even in terms of gold. Small advantages being accrued for MDK in both mid and bot, but conversely on the top side of the map, advantages being gained for Bo and Cabochard thanks to the additional farm and the fact that while that pressure is being put on Upset Targamus, obviously Mirwin left to his own devices and doing what he can into what is a pretty tough matchup against Renekton early on.
Certainly early on. Once you get a few items under your belt, we've seen how much more impactful Aatrox can be in the mid to late game fights. Not that Renekton can't find those angles, but maybe as Cabochard gets a bit more gold into his back pocket with the focus on top side, he can start to pull ahead, try to create a bigger advantage than he already has.
It's that early dragon we talked about, but Casey wants to contest it.
Stun going in. Nice spell shield coming in from Zupa. Upset on the backside, laying down a bit of fire as Seiken now ulting in, but an instant wallbang coming through. Frescowy now needs to get out in the 1v1. Honeyfruit might be enough. The ulti coming in for the root. Alvaro there to body block. Nobody going down on the side of Mad Lion's Koi. Clean thus far. Upset desperate to clean up. Oh, he just wants one kill, but he cannot finish the job. Targamas going around the corner. They have to be careful about overcommitting here. Pushing in the wave is important, but KC walking away empty-handed.
Seiken so close to getting a kill onto Frescowy with the reset on his ultimate. KC could have gone for more, but Frescowy with incredible patience holds on to his flash until the very end, knows that his ultimate is available to give him the shield and buy him time. Only at the very last minute is he forced to flash away. It is MDK though that will walk away with the kill. No dragon though, and Bo already back out on the map, and he's looking to secure himself the grubs.
And grubs, when you already have kind of this pressure state on top side where you expect Cabochard to continue to win out, could mean a lot more plates for the Renekton. We'll see if it is just a single grub. No, Bo going to come in for a little bit more here. Meanwhile, on the mid wave, Frescowy just catching the wave, and you can see a bit of a reserved attempt to retake vision on the bottom side. Algoya has enough information, or at least has guessed that Bo is on the objective and feels comfortable to step up here, but wandering into enemy territory most certainly. Targamas canceling it back there, so a bit of a tempo advantage. Bo, maybe they feel confident enough to force a dive here, but Recall already coming in for Mirwin. Wants to TP back on full health just in case the dive does come through.
He has the TP available as well. Oh, he's going to commit it. This could be a great opportunity for KC to set up a play.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if you stick around, you know, at 50% HP and the dive does come through, you're probably dead. So you back, you TP in, you catch the wave, knowing that, hey, if they do try to dive, they have to execute perfect, or I will at least get one kill back.
Frescowy now moving into the river. Should be able to create a collapse onto Bo.
Oh, not anticipating this. Thought they had an agreement. Thought topside belonged to him, but Frescowy now on the chase. Charm goes in onto the fake. Ulti going in. Bo immediately just ults out in response.
Well played there by Bo. Overstays his welcome, ultimately. Given that Mirwin was able to push out that top wave, he was first to collapse as well. He was in some very serious danger, but he held on to the ultimate through hesitation of Frescowy having his ultimate as well. Still though, gold still remaining overall largely even between the two teams. A lot of skirmishing though, people fishing to gain that first major advantage.
Yeah. You can see though, Bo with a decent XP lead when you look at the jungle CS, he's 20 ahead. It's really the kill for LEC that has been the difference. That said, here comes the Poppy. Steadfast presence come out as well. And where are you gonna go, Seiken? That's the power of the Poppy. Clean mid play from Mad Lions Koi.
Yeah, they make it look super easy. Very well played there by LEC. They had exact information as to where Bo was. They just forced him out of their jungle. They knew he went into his bottom side. And you rightly called it. The steadfast presence makes it impossible for Ari to play. Another kill secured for MDK.
Yeah. One of the reasons that we really like seeing the Poppy in this context, we've seen a lot of games where once you get Merc Treads against a Talia or something, Ari can even dash into the stun knowing she has enough time. That is not the case against the Poppy. You are not going to be able to gain that distance as LEC. Coming through in bot lane, Ignite going on. Lightning Crash goes in for upset if he sidesteps here, but he does not. Knock back on the Keeper's Verdict is big, and the objective set in the sights of KC. And with priority access, they're going to grab the Drake as well. So when you take stock, yes, Mad Lions Koi are getting kills, but it's both early objectives to the side of Karmine Corp.
That it is. The gold continues to remain even in these early stages. When we think about the draft, one of the advantages of KC should in theory be that mid-jungle duo. You look at the damage portfolio, like Poppy, Nico, not really the highest damage mid-jungle duo, so you think that if they were to just run into Seiken and Bo, that would be the problem. But you put that Poppy in isolation against an Ari, then all of a sudden that Ari doesn't get to leverage her strong mobility, and suddenly that matchup really changes. So MDK, they've been a bit scattered in terms of where they put that early prio. Obviously, early on, they were really trying to create that isolated split map to allow Super to get ahead on the bot side of the map. They couldn't create a dive, but Super still in a great position. They then converted that pressure towards mid, and they do find themselves another kill off the back of Seiken trying to contest this dragon happening early on.
Mad Lions Koi setting up around mid lane. Keep in mind, there's still a few seconds till Seiken's flash comes back up. Frescowy's flash and Protobelt will be up first. This is essentially an unavoidable engage if Mad Lions Koi want to go for it.
This deep invade. Are they setting up a dive onto Cabo Shard here? Question mark pings are coming through from KC.
They've just told Super, you'll get your 500 CS, take your time on bottom lane. We're going somewhere else. Bo wandering in, but I don't think he's ready for the sheer quantity of MDK members going through. Frescowy stepping forward, really wants it, but again, every time Viego ults is available, that's going to happen. Good body block comes in from Alvaro, but he might just give his own life in the exchange. No ulti coming in for the Viego, but he will get a reset if the kill goes down. Bo needs to drop if they want to win this skirmish, and they take him out. Mad Lions Koi playing it out slow. Alvaro now trying to step out to safety. Ulti comes in, but Seiken grabs at least one. Cabo Shard grabbing the kill. Wants to keep it going, but credit to MDK, still managing to get something out of the play. It's a 1-for-1 in the end.
Support for jungler. It is ultimately just a trade of kills, but MDK, I mean, this game is all about this jungle support synergy. Alvaro and LEC are moving around the map, just looking for opportunities. We see them with a creative path into the topside jungle. They end up creating a collapse on the Bo, and then the fight happens. Alvaro does have level 6 here. He's going to crucially body block the charm. Great positioning from him to keep his mid laner alive. Remounts, but then he's forced to flash away very early. Good stun onto 2 members, and then this Poppy steadfast presence mitigating the chase potential of Seiken. Means that Alvaro can then re-engage, interrupts the knockup there from Targamas, who still doesn't have level 6 yet. Ultimately, though, even though a lot of things went well for MDK, they played the fight mechanically better than their opposition. It ends up still only being a 1-for-1 because when Renekton arrives, there's not much they have left.
Absolutely, and I think that additionally, when you're going to, you have to be careful about continuing to throw this Nico ultimate down onto a Viego has ult up. Getting his ult out, taking that cooldown of the equation is certainly a nice to have, but when Frescowy's this far ahead individually, his ult just needs to have a bigger impact if they want to come out on top in skirmishes, more than just a jungler for support trade kills.
Yeah, I mean, that Nico ultimate can be so game-defining. We've already seen it multiple times this weekend. Seiken not quite able to find those targets yesterday when he was in charge of the champion. Nuke, on the other hand, today, multi-man ultimates. We saw single-handedly winning fights. It can be so important to make sure that it connects. And so far, Frescowy hasn't been able to find those opportunities, but still a lot left in this game. Does have the flash available. Dragon spawns in about a minute and a half. I think KC can afford to concede this one.
Nice read on that play from Super. Blind Boomerang play, just anticipating the back from Upset. I'm not even sure if he saw Upset parkour over the wall, make it out to safety, but delaying that reset does give a small tempo advantage, at least in the bottom lane. As we're getting a bit more comfortable in these trades. It is full completed item for Cabo, though, against some Tabby for Mirwin, or plated steel caps, excuse me.
Showing your age there, Drake.
Bro, I can't help it. They were tabby for so many years. It was illogical and silly, but Supa, while he kind of called the play before, this is absolutely terrible. Supa caught out, running for his life, trying to sidestep, but upset. Ready this time to commit the flash to secure the kill, and that was just a complete unforced error.
Yeah, I mean, Supa overextending in the bot lane, forced to use both the summoners there as well. Big blunder, costs him. KC actually starting to build a bit of a significant gold lead here, as we can now see that advantage mounting for both Cabo and Upset. Sets themselves up nicely for the Dragon as well. Upset wants to get a quick recall in alongside Seiken. Seiken has the TP, though, immediately going to use that into mid lane. If they can get control, gives them easy access into the bot side river. Let's see how MDK respond. Mioin does have the teleport to get himself involved in the fight alongside Cabo. Could mean a huge brawl here, but that Malignance pickup, very crucial for Seiken, especially as he now ticks over to level 11.
Excellent highlight, Betty. Frescowi only level 10. Yes, he has an extra needlessly large rod, but the completed item difference is non-existent. Seiken also has the boots too, which is going to make him a much harder target to pick off. Initial CC is good. Piling into Alyoya. Steadfast presence. Just steadfast enough, but Seiken says no. Flash ult commits the charges to finish the kill, and now it's KC's access to the Drake.
What was funny there was Alyoya seemed comfortable because he saw Seiken on the mid wave, which means that he had a rough idea of where Seiken was. He was not expecting the stun to come through from Bo. You can react to the knockup from Targamas, but that stun was something that you couldn't really do much about. But by him connecting it, it then set up for the knockup from Targamas and then the follow-up from Seiken. Now the ultimate here from Frescowi. Nice
to finish the job, however. Seiken's got backup on the way, just barely enough movement speed to come out. Targamas coming in with the shielding as well. The battle dance to keep his mid laner alive, and now the flash, the stun, committing just to make sure that it doesn't connect onto a clone, but the route onto Targamas is clutch. Going through Bo, hitting Targa, stopping the kill from coming through.
Trader flashes there, but Frescowi not having his. Think of Nico very similarly to Kennen, not overly reliant on the flash, sure, but it is very valuable in those fights if you just have that extra mobility. First tower of the game going to drop in favor of Supa. He's still sitting in a very comfortable position. Both these hyper-scaling AD carries going to be crucial as we get later into this game. Upset so far has had a solid split, but as we've already highlighted, both these teams find themselves at 1 and 3. Those performances have not been enough to convert it into a carry performance, but one of them is going to get a second win on the board today. We see that the Rift Herald is now alive, and you imagine that's the next objective that both these teams have their eyes on.
KC, Briars, Bloom, 2 members committed. Trying to fight for mid priority. Frescowi is able to grab a little bit. They've reassigned Supa into the mid lane to try to clear out those waves. Excellent poke damage coming in from Seiken. Doesn't have to full commit yet in Bo. Already feels comfortable to start the objective. Doesn't want to linger for too long, however. Alyoya does spot him, but doesn't really have the angle to set up the wall stun.
This is smart. I like that. Contest that space right there. If they're clearing out the vision, it makes it harder for MDK to actually walk up towards the objective. Now that they've cleared that out and have control over that space, they can now move back, and all 5 members have been brought up. Aatrox pushing in the bot side of the map, has the TP, but it looks like that MDK are going to concede this one over favorable push. I imagine that KC is going to immediately move to top side, start threatening that tower, maybe even commit towards a second Herald tower top as well, and trade the fact that Mioin continues to put pressure on the bottom lane.
Cabochard is going to lose a little bit of CS for that play, but doesn't want to commit the TP too early, knowing that Mir1 can TP to the top side of the map, stop this potential push, and give a man advantage to the side of Mad Lion's Koi. Gets there in time, though, to clear out most of the wave, and right now, Bo and KC just coming out on top. Have to be careful about overcommitting here. Stun on the Targamas is good, and now Cabo just chasing down Mir1, trying to stop the TP from coming in. Recall there as well. Dominus now used in the picture-in-picture. You can see Mir1 trying to use that extra movement speed. We'll be able to run flash for flash trade.
So who does have flash? Alvaro. Alvaro has his flash. Everyone is down right now. Fortunately for most people, 2 minutes until the next dragon spawns.
Betty, there's one rule in a Mad Lion's Koi versus KC matchup, is that when your flash is off cooldown, you have to make a play.
It does seem that way.
The longer you hold on to flash, the more embarrassing it is, really.
It's true.
So, Alvaro,
we've got our eyes on
time's a ticking.
Time is a ticking. Now, this mid tower is something that both teams would love to unlock, naturally because it gives you so much more access into the enemy jungle. But the good news for KC is they have the Herald, so it's an easier one to siege. But Sivir Zeri, I don't know if you guys know this, these champions have a lot of wave clear, which is inherently what makes it so difficult to siege onto these mid towers.
I know what you're thinking. You wanted more Mad Lions Koi versus KC. Well, you're going to get it in the form of an increased game time as both teams in a world where control mages are gone, AD carries are now picking up the slack. Orion is getting banned, Azir is disabled, and as a result, Waveco's coming from the AD role these days.
I do love the enthusiasm from the KC fans. Do question how much harder they've made it to watch the game with their approach. Still, dedication has to be admired. Yes.
You have to show the jerseys to the players. You have to understand, Vinny, it's not about the game, it's about the cause.
I see.
It's not about being a spectator, it's about being a fan, showing up for the team.
Wow, profound. Inspirational even.
Yeah, it's a little more hardcore than that.
Did you coach a baseball team when you grew up in America?
No, I would never have coached anything. Have you played video games with me?
Yeah.
I shout obscenities and troll. I would be the worst coach ever.
It'd be very entertaining, though.
True. I'm open, you know? Wonder got messages from team managers asking if he wanted to play support. I'll be offended if I don't get some for coaching after a comment like that, Betty. I will flame your players.
You know,
without information or context.
He's
you let me know, teams.
We have the clip of him being the anger translator for Hansama. It exists.
Do that again.
Herald going to be used mid. Will this be the mid tower unlocked? Civet not yet here.
Use of Herald. Are they going to mount up and get the charge in? Okay. Happy to just have a little bit of damage. I guess felt like they wanted to get mid prio, at least for a brief moment, to get access to the Drake.
The thing for KC here is no one is bot, so Mirwan's been given the opportunity to push that wave in. Does give them an avenue to collapse. Bo is cautious of it, but he still has that angle. And look at Seiken's positioning here. Caught awkwardly in mid lane, but Super has a very easy angle in, so it's a numbers disadvantage for KC.
KC have no real reason to be here right now. They really want to catch that bot side wave. They're conceding a little bit of resources already just to show up.
Seiken's
Mirwan's already got a good
very
angle.
Awkward.
Yeah, MDK much better positioning around the Drake. KC now respecting that bottom wave. Seiken now just fishing, trying to stop the ult from coming out. Incredibly well played on the pick to finish the job. Elyoya's there, but it's too little too late. With Nico out of the equation, KC just gets to walk in and take yet another objective. And again, the gold has looked close for most of the game. It's now only a 2K deficit, but KC keep trading up.
I mean, that was a really good choice from Seiken. That he realized his positioning was awkward, and so he's trying to find an angle back in, but he realizes he's being zoned by Friskawi. And it reached a certain point where MDK was so focused on keeping KC out of that bot lane tri-brush that it was now Friskawi that became isolated, and the play wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Targamas. He recognizes, hang on, my mid lane has found a pick. He's quick to follow up. The chain CC is good, and they convert it into a kill, which nets them their third dragon.
And credit to KC, because if they don't make that play, MDK just get the Drake, they push them back, because KC didn't really have a good angle to play from. If Seiken and Targa don't work together to make that pick happen, good heads-up performance there. A bit awkward on the setup, but making it work in the end. Upset is definitely overextended now on the midway, but the follow-up isn't quite there. Targamas going to whiff on the initial engage. Alvaro, they look to follow up here. Knock back there, unstoppable from Bo, but that auto follows!
Bo holds onto his flash and ultimate way too long. Nice play there from Super to guarantee that last auto in, connecting the Q as well to chunk out Bo's health bar. The problem for MDK, I should say, is it's not really much for them to convert it into. They have their eyes on that top outer tower. KC had already secured the bot one. There's a big wave that I think Seiken should go and catch right now. But instead, he wants to be near his mid lane to offer that support. Camo actually going to be here to answer. In a situation like this, you would anticipate MDK even threatening a potential dive. Something he's going to have to be cautious of, and already you can see him going back to base as MDK set their eyes actually on the mid tier 1.
MDK want to dive mid tower, or at least try to take it down.
80 carries have too much wave.
80 carries. This is a casual lightning crash, auto 4 times. And like, the scary thing is, if that fight continues, I don't know if it favors KC. Zeri really doing a lot of work already. Has built effectively no damage items.
This is
so much damage. I hate this build, but it's so good.
It's the build that we just see on Zeri's, and I'm like, where's all their damage? And they press R, and then they start pew-pewing, and you're like, oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
My mistake, sir.
I was not familiar with your game.
That ulti cooldown, pretty big buff, turns out. She just has it every single fight these days.
But here comes the damage. BF Sword now picked up for Upset, working towards that third item.
He's a big fan of the Aether. We've seen Navori come out as well, but really likes to hit like a truck there. Less worried about getting the E cooldown back up a little bit faster. Now Mad Lion's Koi.
Oh, Seiken is at such a strong point now. This Ahri is going to be doing a huge amount of damage. Looks like he might be going for the Horizon Focus third, given that he's sitting on the Fiendish Codex. We'll wait and see, though. The Nico build is like, makes sense, but it's a little lower on the damage front. As Bo could be in some serious danger once again.
Knockback there. He has ult and flash again from the previous play, but the knockup Now he knows he has to burn at least some resources to get out of stage. He will be forced to flash and ult. Alvaro now keeping a bit of pressure on the top side. Excellent footwork.
Oh, Alvaro, nicely done.
Touching everything.
Not one, but twice.
Yeah, just making it look easy. Mad Lions going now know that they have priority access to the objective. The sad thing is they've overcommitted on the top side, giving Upset free access to mid lane tower. He is not overextended, overcommitted, as Targamas is there to cover. So,
I mean,
tower down.
MDK, though, still haven't unlocked this top tier 1. They were convinced that they could secure the mid tier 1 TP flank.
KC want to keep it going. Steadfast presence about to fade away. It's going to give Saken so much access, trying to lock up Frescowy. Frescowy getting charmed. Ulti now going to come through. Stopwatch has it for a brief moment, but Upset already grabbing the kill. Everything going wrong for MDK and KC. Writing's on the wall. It's their Baron.
A very different performance from Saken today. Yesterday he couldn't find those angles, but on his Ahri, he is connecting those charms onto his opponent mid laner, and he is shutting Frescowy down, but MDK still have the Civet, a potential angle to turn this around.
This is a bit of desperation. Elyoya's still alive, so they want to go for the contest. Mirwin now healing up big. David coming for the Aatrox flat forward, Q3. Elyoya trying to finish the jump, and the stun is there, the shutdown. He's now leaping out to safety. Look at him go! Phase rush, taking him out of the equation. Mirwin looking like a proper raid boss, baby. Wrath of the Lich King here near the pit.
I mean, they stopped the Baron from happening. Credit to MDK. Saken ran out of ult charges and his flash wasn't available.
Mirwin.
They're sitting on a ward. He's just playing interference right now. He's denying the ability of KC to get those resets. And look at the mid wave right now. It's Super pushing in, trying to put some pressure onto that tower, but he needs to get a reset for himself. Not going to overstay. The Dragon now becomes the big point of contention. Super needs to get that reset off ASAP. Well, let's look back at this flank play. The TP coming in, I thought it was the Renekton, but it was actually Saken. And instead of going on the Poppy, he turns immediately onto Frescowy. He knows that he's the real damage threat here. And then with Upset coming over the wall with that ultimate, they find themselves a kill. Quickly convert that onto Alvaro. And obviously the Baron looks easy pickings here, but the problem is Super is still alive. And look at what he's able to do. The focus comes down onto Mirwin. They don't actually have the damage to shut him down. Saken then gets traded back on in favor of MDK. A nice flash from Elyoya takes him to safety. But we got to get back into the action because the Dragon is now up and both these teams are ready.
Mirwin's starting to look more and more powerful in the fights, though. They have to make sure they do a good job of keeping him off of the back line. Good news is the Ahri as well as the Zarya are both hyper mobile. Similar situation to the previous Drake. This time it's Mirwin on the flank. Going to be much harder for Saken to find that angle.
The bot wave is in a very awkward spot right now for KC. They're leveraging the fact that they have numbers in the river. Mirwin on the flank. Can they catch Alvaro? Not quite.
Celestial opposition buff fading away.
Oh, yes, they can. Alvaro, what are you doing?
Decent catch. Knockback comes in from Elyoya. Focus now on the Drake from MDK. They know that this is the objective that they need to get, but they want to pull the trigger on the opposite side. The Drake goes down. Upset now trying to fight for his life. Frescowy not going to connect on anybody, but the carries on the back line untouched for now. KC dominating the fight. MDK might have denied the soul, but KC can just turn to the Baron once again.
A nice ultimate from Elyoya to keep Bo out of the pit, but Alvaro oversteps his bounds. It gives them the opportunity to force the fight. Bo is looking for more. Mirwin should be able to get away to safety though, and this is going to be a secured Baron for KC, a worthwhile trade for them. Looking to get revenge from Winter, take down their rivals, and a much needed win to regain that confidence for KC.
And I gotta give credit to Targamas. This man is playing out of his mind today. He's so confident on these engages. The follow-up over the wall once he knows the pick is secured on Alvaro. Fantastic. Elyoya knocks somebody out.
I thought it was connected onto Bo, but it actually went onto the Renekton. But look at this engage. You highlighted Targamas. He connects onto Super, doesn't have the summoners available to get out. And the follow-up from the rest of the team was clean. KC, they're playing coordinated. Frustration on the faces of the Mad Lions coaching staff. An elation on the side of KC. Naturally, why wouldn't you be? You're in a great position now. But it all comes back to discipline, Dracos. We've seen both these teams throw from positions like this before. KC obviously look like they continue to win out on these fights. Upset is in an incredibly powerful position. The Infinity Edge is done for him. But the wave clear on Civet. I don't know. Some old school fans may not remember this, but we used to have a long-time Civet player here in Europe. His name is Reckless, and he used to be famous for the 500 CS Civet win condition.
Oh my god, the desperation angle.
But that's what that champion does, bro. It wave clears. It buys time.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We've all seen it. Nabori only made it better. And Supa just keeping those waves pushed out.
It's gone. The wave. You see the problem. So KC need to split the map up. They cannot play a traditional 4-1. You have to kind of divide your resources more to spread this Sivir thin, because it's the only real way you're going to get into the base.
Win immediately ulting to get out to safety. Good respect to Seiken and Cabo. Not going to allow that pick to go through. Frescowi poking his head in as well. MDK, I don't think much is going to come from this Baron. Maybe not even a single
200 left, right? Costs 300 for the Sivir. I'm warning you. I gotta set these expectations,
it's like
bro.
the Cassid and Twitch Gem. 15 out of 6.
It's literally that, yeah.
The Smolder meme, 200 out of 225.
I can see them all. They've all got that like 300 out of 500 Monka S. Here we go.
It's a slower game when Sivir gets played.
Alvaro.
Good pick. Clone's flash from Upset is great, though. The follow-up Upset now on a Rampage. Baron buff still for a minute. Maybe they can get more off this. It'll at least be a tier 2, but the wave is already gone.
Alvaro, he tested Upset and he said, I'm sorry, I pass these tests every day of the week. A trade of summoner spells, mid will be unlocked. Another kill now with the numbers advantage. Look at Supa's HP.
Oh, you're not quite connecting on the wall. That's big. Now needs to run.
What
needs
is
to
Matt
backstep.
doing?
Charm comes through. It's fantastic. He wanted to punt them out. Targamas says not today. Bo now on a killing spree. Continuing to run forward, but Discipline, the name of the game. They should just take the inhibitor tower and be content. But the cannon minion won't step up.
Matt just need to wave clear. There's only 20 seconds left on this Baron. They had time, and instead, what we saw Alvaro try to force summoners out from Upset. Sure, I see the idea there. But then in mid, Elyoya trying to force a play. MDK seem to be getting desperate when I feel like they have the tools to stall. And now they end up exposing their base. That inhibitor is now unlocked. The good news is that the Baron has now worn off, but that Soul Point still there. Dragon spawning 1 minute 15, and they're going to have to come out and fight KC, who's ready to tango.
You're in a situation where you're always going to have to step up the plate, always be ready. Giving away Mountain Soul feels like a death sentence. Bit of an awkward reset there on the red buff. Won't matter too much as we look ahead. Supa sucking up farm, only 20 since we last checked in on him, but getting closer and closer to what I assume will be a Lord Dominix. As both 80 carries resetting the red buff on accident. Someone get the handshake meme. Here, the next setup. Wave pressure already in favor of MDK in the bottom lane. Mirwin pushing out as well, 43 seconds, so it won't be about this wave, it'll be about the next one. But MDK hoping to catch Bo or someone else on the side of KC misstepping. Remember, both of these teams have had similar issues in the sense that they just lose discipline in these crucial moments, that they overstep, that they make these mistakes and get caught out, but it is KC who are playing cleaner, who are punishing left and right today.
I mean, KC's just being more patient, I'll be honest. They're waiting for MDK to overstep, and that's exactly what continues to happen. Seiken now off on the angle once more. Frescowi looking for an angle of his own. Bo holding off on the left-hand side, the access into the river. MDK have some great angles to come from. The question is, can they actually connect onto the crucial targets? No summoners on Upset.
I think it's so hard if you're Frescowi in this situation. Mirwin the poke now coming out. The charm, where's the follow-up going to go? Mirwin trying desperately to get away. Will dash out to safety, forced to use the ultimate a little bit early, but MDK can just regroup here. They've lost control of their own jungle. Just a bit of vision covering Seiken, but Seiken no ultimate, no spirit rush in the fight to come. Frescowi still has his. Keep your eyes on that Nico. Might just be the difference between life and death in these plays. Elyoya if he connects on the Keeper's Verdict, but I think he's just going to let it expire. Reduced cooldown now, just generating a little bit of space, but it's Cabo Shard on the flank. Charm now going in. Frescowi only able to connect on the one, and that's disaster! Upset can immediately punish, but keep your eyes on Supa. Supa's still free to auto-attack. Supa raining down damage, but it is not enough! A GA there for Upset, the luxury item complete just in time. Elyoya going to send him packing back to the base, but he's going to be the one sent home in a moment as KC are looking to close.
Bo is on the hunt for Elyoya, but he's just keeping him busy. KC have their eyes on the Nexus and a massive win against their rivals. MDK is going to fall today, and KC will get their second win of spring.
Incredible performance from KC, Seiken and Targamas together. Upset bringing it home. A beautiful game, most certainly. They make sure Elyoya cannot recall. A bit of vengeance for the winter performance. KC, you said it, Betty. Their second win on the board.
Big smiles on the faces of KC. They have to be happy with that one. Very controlled, largely punishing the mistakes of Mad Lions Koi. Seiken, a huge redemption performance from him after yesterday's gameplay. Finding great angles, shutting Frescowi down. But you said it, Targamas, 0-0-16. He was involved in every single kill.
All right, Your choice for key player of the game, Bo, Seiken, Upset, at LEC on X. The carries are always going to get the votes, but the support today interrupts the Elioya charge, stops so many Frescali engages, spots people on the flanks. Him and Seiken together, not the mid-support duo I had my eye on, but I was wrong to feel that way. We're going to head to a quick break when we return an interview with Cabochard.
Red Bull gives you wings.